exposed the children to human feces and starvation.
New Mexico State Police!
Investigators paying a visit after a report was made to CYFD in 2024.
Unless there's like a door that leads into the other underground.
Picture miles of New Mexico desert. No neighbors, no school bus routes, no clinics nearby, just wind, dust, and a knot of trailers and tarps sunk into the sand. For years, 7 children were raised out there, tucked away from the rest of the world. They weren't just off-grid, they were invisible. And nobody would have known until a teenager ran for help and told a story that made even seasoned investigators go still. Her account set off a months-long investigation, search warrants, and body cam footage that would reveal semi-underground mud caves, rotting food, buckets used as toilets, and conditions state police described as unlivable. Prosecutors say the case goes far beyond neglect. It's a pattern of control and abuse that ran for years, allegations the parents deny but now face in court. What exactly happened on that desert property? How did these kids fall so far off the radar? And what finally broke the silence? It wasn't a dramatic jailbreak, and yet it changed everything. In October 2024, the 16-year-old daughter of Valerie and Melvin Cordell attended the New Mexico National Guard Youth Challenge Academy, a structured program for teens seeking guidance or support. It was there at the academy and away from the desert compound that she first spoke up, in a place where she was surrounded by mentors and peers rather than tunnels and isolations. She said she'd endured years of sexual abuse, forced routines, and living in semi-underground shelters in the middle of nowhere. She described sleeping in dirt-lined caverns made from wood, tarps, and dirt, with walls of trash and no running water or toilets, places no school or health officials had ever seen. That conversation changed everything. The academy staff contacted authorities, and within hours, investigators had the clues they needed. Her descriptions of the cave entrances and the layout of the compound, the age gaps between the siblings, all led them straight to a remote 35-acre property just outside Deming in Luna County.
New Mexico State Police!
Dude, that looks like a bunker.
Take it easy. Are they big dogs?
No, but I mean, they seem kind of scared.
They're pretty scared of us.
Okay.
So I'll see spray in the video.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go hot.
I'm hot right now, so. Melvin Cordell and Valerie Cordell.
Melvin.
Oh, Melvin.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to make contact with them. Hello!
You there? Oh,
I don't see their white van.
Just said hello.
What are they driving? Like this old white van. It's not here.
Yeah, maybe they parked it back here. Let's go look. Hello, New Mexico State Police.
The dogs are back there, so I feel like
I don't think they'd booby trap it, but you guys already know, just 48.
The investigation centered on a property outside Deming in Luna County, semi-remote. From the road, you might see a couple of old trailers, a few rusted vehicles, and some tarps flapped in the wind. But stepping onto the property told a different story. Everywhere you looked, it was filth and decay. Buckets filled with waste sat out on the open. Piles of trash were scattered around like no one had ever cleaned in years. Rats, mice scurried through the garbage. Investigators later said the smell alone was unforgettable.
dude, his hooves are overgrown.
Hello, guys. Hello. New Mexico State Police. Mr. Cordell. Melvin Cordell. Valerie Cordell. We want to talk to you guys real quick. We have CYFD here. Hello. Hello. There's part of bathroom stuff out here. We're just trying to make contact with you guys. Information, let's go. Hello.
State police and child protection officials described the scene that felt less like a homestead and more like an encampment. Tarps dug out, plywood, and earth worked together into caves 4 to 6 feet deep, where investigators say the family had children sleep and live. Rotting food, trash, and buckets of human waste were documented around the site. This wasn't back to the land minimalism. It was squalor. Bodycam video, later published by local media, shows officers methodically serving search warrants, collecting devices, photographing the area, and returning to the mud caves when initial sweeps didn't locate everyone they needed to speak with. Even from the video alone, you can feel the claustrophobia. Makeshift shelters, low ceilings of dirt and timber, and the kind of will make do fixes that stopped being creative and started being dangerous when kids are involved. The living situation answered one question: how the family hid, but raised a more urgent one: what were the children's actual conditions? Investigators confirmed that there were 7 children living in the Cordell property, ranging from infants to teenagers. None of them were in school, none had regular medical care, and they had almost no connection to the outside world. Responders later described what they saw as heartbreaking. The kids appeared undernourished, showed signs of delayed development, and carried the kind of fragility you only see in children who have been hidden away for years. The children were immediately taken into protective custody. Doctors began medical evaluations, and trauma specialists stepped in to start providing counseling. While some early reports gave conflicting numbers, both prosecutors and national outlets consistently confirmed that 7 children were rescued. What makes cases like this so devastating isn't just what the children endured, but what they were denied. Things most kids like for granted: birthday parties, school friends, doctor's checkups, or simply playing without fear were missing from their lives. Without those basic building blocks, everything else becomes harder. Trusting adults, learning what safe rules look like, and even understanding what normal childhood means. With the children finally safe, investigators turned back to the teenager's testimony because her account didn't just describe harsh living conditions. It pointed directly to something much darker, and these allegations became the foundation of the charges that followed. When the teenager finally found the courage to speak, her words reshaped the entire investigation. She told authorities that what happened inside the Cordell household wasn't a single act of cruelty or a sudden lapse in judgment. It was a way of life that had been forced on her, a routine that lasted for years. She described how her father Melvin crossed lines that no parent should ever cross, and how her mother, Valerie, knew what was happening but failed to protect her. In her account, the abuse wasn't hidden behind closed doors in a way outsiders might imagine. It was embedded into daily life, treated as if it were normal. The false sense of normalcy, combined with the family's isolation in the desert, created an environment where silence became survival. The teenager also revealed that she had experienced 2 pregnancies as a result of this abuse, one when she was 14 and another at 16. Neither pregnancy continued to birth, but the very fact that the child could endure that at such a young age added urgency to the case. Prosecutors later included those details in official filings, not to sensationalize, but to show just how long and how deep this pattern had been allowed to continue. What makes her account even more chilling is how systematic it all seemed. This wasn't random violence. It wasn't a chaotic household where things spiraled out of control. According to the teenager, there were rules, expectations, and a constant pressure to keep quiet. There were no teachers to notice absences, no doctors to ask questions, no neighbors close enough to see what was going on. The isolation of the compound acted like a shield, allowing the abuse to continue in plain sight of the only people who might have stopped it: her parents. When prosecutors presented her testimony, they described it as one of the most disturbing cases of child abuse they have ever seen in New Mexico. The allegations painted a picture of a home where secrecy was enforced, where trust between parents and child was weaponized, and where the teenager's voice had been silenced for years. until she finally broke free. Once the allegations came through, authorities moved with speed. Valerie and Melvin Cordell were arrested in early 2025, each held without bond. Their charges range from child abuse, child endangerment, unlawful imprisonment, to aggravated battery and criminal sexual penetration, at least for Melvin. They've both pled not guilty. Reports don't shy away from the scale. Worst in this region's modern memory. Investigators continue gathering evidence, body cam footage, witness statements, forensic analysis of the shelters themselves. The material will be central to the trial. Here's what happens. No school, no doctor, no neighbors. No one knows these kids exist. The Cordells moved frequently, never registered the children, and lived in county dead zones where social services barely reached. When kids vanish into isolation, they drop from every procedural radar. This case shows how fast a child can go from existence to being untraceable. The system protects millions, but when someone's off the grid, the margins become deadly. One teen's escape reminded us how vulnerable invisibility really is. When the investigators served search warrants on the Cordell property, what they found confirmed nearly everything the teenager had described. Local reporters later obtained hours of state police body cam footage, and it shows in detail how methodical the searches were. Officers carefully logged evidence, phones, laptops, boxes of belongings, while narrating each step out loud to keep the chain of custody clear. At one point, Melvin can even be heard apologizing for the state of the property, blaming the condition on a mouse infestation that had overtaken the trailer.
Keep everything together. We'll take the box too and everything.
All right. I'm sorry for the mess. As soon as we parked this, we got overrun with mine.
On video, it sounds almost casual, but the images told another story. Pair that footage with the photos described in prosecutors' filings, and the picture becomes even more disturbing. Trash scattered everywhere, rotting food left in piles, dirty buckets used in place of toilets, and an environment overrun with filth. This wasn't rustic or alternative living. It was a place unfit for children. And the body cam evidence gave jurors and the public a raw, unfiltered view of what life on the property really looked like. That's why this kind of documentation matters so much. Every photo, every item seized, every second of video isn't just paperwork. It's part of rebuilding a timeline of how these kids lived and providing in court that this wasn't a misunderstanding or a lifestyle choice. It was a system of isolation, neglect, and control that stripped children of even the most basic safety and dignity. So the question becomes, now that the truth has been uncovered, how did those children begin to heal from something like this? Some may struggle with communication or feel anxious in new situations, but with steady care, children can be incredibly resilient. For the teenager who spoke up, healing is even more complex. Survivors often feel guilt they don't deserve, wondering why they didn't tell sooner. But the truth is, she spoke out at the first safe chance she had, and by doing so, she saved her siblings. That isn't just bravery, it's love in action. As the children begin rebuilding their lives, the court case continues, but now the story is just as much about their recovery as it is about the trial. This case isn't just about condemning homesteading, homeschooling, or living simply. Many families do these things safely. What makes the Cordell story different is secrecy, control, and abuse. Prosecutors argue that isolation was used to normalize harm and cut the children off from any outside adults who might have intervened. The off-grid setting didn't cause the abuse, it hid it. That's why the media coverage has been so intense. The images are unforgettable. Children sleeping in dirt-walled shelters, police combing through the underground tunnels, a parent on a video blaming the squalor on mice. National outlets capture the shock by calling them semi-underground caves, a shorthand that matches what the state police documented on body cam. The outrage is understandable, but outrage alone isn't enough. The real question is, how do we stop something like this from happening again? As of now, Valerie and Melvin Cordell remain in custody without bond at the Luna County Detention Center. Again, the district attorney has called this one of the most serious child abuse cases in recent state memory. And if convicted on the top counts, The Cordells could face decades or even life in prison. At the same time, the case has pushed forward policy debates. Lawmakers and child advocates are asking, should homeschooling and extreme isolation include mandatory wellness checks? Do we need stronger cross-state coordination when families vanish from one system? How can we create youth-led reporting channels so teens feel safe speaking out earlier? These reforms won't come overnight, but the teenagers' courage already did what policy sometimes can't. It forces adults to look and to act. Beyond the court filings and headlines are 7 children learning what childhood should feel like. Think of the preschooler who finally gets to color without fear, the middle schooler discovering that library day is exciting, or the teenager realizing that having a bedroom door, a sports team, and a cafeteria dessert aren't luxuries, they're normal. And the oldest, she isn't just a witness. She's the reason her siblings are free. She used her first safe chance to tell the truth. And that decision changed the course of 6 other lives. That's a legacy of protection and courage. One note, photo, or call can be the breadcrumb investigators need later. Believe the whisper. Survivors rarely start loud. How we respond to the first hint determines if they risk telling more. Know the difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy protects dignity. Secrecy hides harm. The Cordell case proves that visibility saves lives. The moment someone listened, everything changed. If this story moved you, share it. Not for shock value, but to push for real vigilance. And if you're someone wondering whether your voice matters, remember, one voice already moved mountains. Yours could too. What do you think needs to change first? Oversight, resources, or the way we respond when kids say something's wrong? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more case coverage like this, hit the like button so you don't miss the next one.